Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer.
Today, my guest is Maria Aparis. She's an accomplished author, an inspirational and motivational leader and speaker, and she helps her clients achieve their greatest potential in life by challenging the paradigms that hold them back. She realigns them with their mind, their body, and their spirit by using alternative and holistic natural practices. I'm so excited for you guys to hear what Maria has to say about her new book. Welcome to Is Your Head On Straight? Welcome, Maria. I'm so excited you're on today's podcast with Is Your Head On Straight. I can't wait to hear about everything you're going to talk about. So let's get straight to it. You wrote a book called The Essential Gut Awakening, Mastering Hashimoto's and Other Autoimmune Diseases. Clearly, you came to this point in your life because you have a phenomenal story to tell. So can you give me some background about what led you to this incredible book?
Yes. Hi. Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm so excited to be here. I came to write this book because I had been searching for natural solutions to help me find my wellness again. And going through this most extreme kinds of symptoms with Hashimoto's, I had found that I ran into every single kind of doctor, specialist, anyone that I went to go see, and I felt like they were guessing on how to treat my symptoms and get to the root cause of it. And it wasn't until I had to stop doing what everyone else was telling me to do and go based on my intuition and what felt right for my body and go into just completely natural solutions that I was able to find my balance and harmony in my mind, body, and spirit again.
Wow, that sounds incredible. And I totally resonate with that because I obviously come from a holistic health background, being a Blair Upper cervical chiropractor. And you mentioned something in there that was really like a word that I want to kind of go in onto, which was intuition. So how many years did you search and test and go from doctor to doctor before you really understood that that intuition was what you needed to follow?
I want to say at least 5 years of going from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, taking 80 different supplements of what people were giving me, and none of them were working. In fact, I kept getting worse.
Wow. So this wasn't just medical doctors. This was like the natural health practitioners, like a naturopath or a chiropractor or a nutritional therapist.
Yep, absolutely. In fact, one naturopath had me taking 80 different pills, creams, tinctures, capsules, you name it. I was taking it. I was spending thousands upon thousands of dollars trying to get my life back. And it wasn't helping. It was literally making me worse.
So what was it that finally made you realize? Because I would think just a regular old person, if you've done the medical route, and clearly we know that most of the time that is not the answer, because you can't throw a chemical and expect health to come, right? There's always a consequence or an effect, not even a side effect, an effect from a chemical in your body. But then you went into the natural realm and everybody would think, like you said, the tinctures and the different supplements and all the different things. What was it that finally made you realize like this isn't working and this is the direction I'm going? And then what led you out of all of that stuff?
Okay, so basically what it comes down to is absorption in your body. And when you are experiencing leaky gut syndrome, which is what I was at the height of autoimmune, is that you really have a challenge absorbing nutrients into your body. So in as much as maybe these things were great, they were not great for me because the key is absorption. And so I was having the most expensive urine ever. And that's what they say about most Americans these days, is because we just blindly take all of these really expensive vitamins and wait for something to show up. But the truth of the matter is when you get to the heart of it, the heart is you have to be able to absorb what you're taking. So what I had found is that the reason I called it the Essential Gut Awakening is because I used essential oils to begin with. The essential oils are what got into my bloodstream and actually started activating and getting absorbed into my body. And that's what led me down this path of natural plant allies. And so essential oils were key. And then I started using hemp oil, the phytocannabinoid dials. And the hemp oil is actually what threw me into that feeling of getting my life back.
So you're talking about CBD.
Yes, phytocannabinoid dials. And the reason I don't say CBD is because there's a big, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the pharmaceutical company has done a global patent on the letters CBD.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so that's why you won't see CBD on supplements.
Wow.
CBD is now coined for pharmaceutical.
That is outrageous. They can't take something natural. I mean, they can. They have enough money. But what a joke. So you have to say hemp oil. Okay, I get it. No problem.
We have to say hemp oil, but that's what it is. It is phytocannabinoid diols.
Got it.
And those are the key to get into our endocannabinoid system, and which has been seriously depleted. And I myself felt a world of difference within just days of taking this hemp oil.
Okay. Now I have a question. Is there an aspect of THC in that either, or is it just straight the CBD component, not the THC?
So in my particular case, I did not want the psychoactive effect of a THC. So I researched an oil and I found one to be absolutely spectacular. It's a nano-enhanced liposome delivery. So it's basically taking, hemp is pretty large molecule. So hemp taken in any other kind of form is really going to have that absorption problem again. And so when it's nano enhanced, it's basically kind of broken down as like a water soluble type of thing. But nano enhanced with a liposome delivery means that it's broken down so small that the uptake of bioavailability is nearly 100%. So, it's different for everybody. But if you hold it long enough, it gets absorbed right into your bloodstream.
So you healed your gut through changing your diet and through taking proper supplements that actually were doing a good job. How long did it take you to get to the point where you were going to do this hemp oil and you were able to heal your leaky gut? And then you realize like that is the foundation, because a little bit underneath that is I tell my patients, like, you can't absorb nutrients unless you have a healthy nervous system. And so my whole job is to make sure the structure is in alignment so that your nervous system can function. Because again, if you don't absorb it, like you were saying, you could eat the best food on the planet, but if you can't assimilate it, it doesn't make any sense. And for me, my world is the nerves telling the gut what to do. So I think that we kind of are coming at this problem with a path that is like together. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I love that you brought that up. So what I discovered that in our gut, we have the enteric nervous system, which has more neurons than the central nervous system. And so when you focus in on the gut and that enteric nervous system, 80% of the communication is going from our gut through the vagus nerve up into the brain. So when you look at who the bigger communicator is, it's not the brain, it's the gut.
Yeah.
So when you start, or let me put this way, when I started focusing in on my gut and getting those nutrients into my body that were actually absorbed, then I was able to get rid of my brain fog. I was able to have clarity and focus and concentrate. My energy came back to me. So many things from just focusing strictly on my gut. Now that meant I put essential oils in my gut. I put hemp oil on my belly as well as taking it sublingually. I also really looked at the things that I was eating, such as nightshades. Nightshades, I had to say absolutely goodbye to.
And why is that?
Nightshades have their own pesticide, so to speak. It's their own defense system. And tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, goji berries, and peppers, bell peppers.
I was going to say bell peppers.
Yes.
I love all those anyway.
I know, they're so good. But they get into your gut, and if you already have a compromised immune system, it actually starts to get into the stomach lining and expose it even more so, like eats away at
it irritates
our cilia.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So once you heal your gut with the process that you've written about in your book, is it possible to reintroduce nightshades, but just not like on an everyday basis? Is that something that's possible?
I've had a few. I can say for certain it definitely affects me.
Okay.
So I just have a tendency to just stay away from them.
Okay.
And dairy, including eggs. Eggs also have that mucus, and the mucus can actually be a carrier for toxins to enter our bloodstream through the gut.
Interesting.
So, yes, I actually had to say, and that was a major source of protein for me for a really long time. And I actually felt better when I stopped eating them.
Did you ever take any like allergy testing through any of the doctors that you had seen? Like, you know how they do skin tests? Like medical doctors will do a skin allergy test, and then like a naturopath or a PhD nutritionist that does like acupuncture, they'll do like a gut test or a blood test. Did you do any of those and have any idea?
Yes, so I've had my hair, stool, blood, and saliva. I mean, I've had every single test that you can think of. And that's another reason why we kept going broke, because I was spending so much on these tests. And every time we would try something new, we'd have to retest to see if it did anything differently. Right. So it's East meets West meets spirituality in terms of body, mind, and spirit. So we have to have that science of Newtonian Western doctor, right? We need to have that science.
No, I get it. I have the philosophy that we are a spirit that lives in a body that has a soul, right? And so our spirit is eternal, and we live in this body, this temple that I like to call it, and we have to express ourselves through this body, through our soul. And that's like our logic and our emotions and the way that we kind of filter, right? Through our limbic system. So if our body is not good, we can't express our spirit through our soul in a healthy, meaningful way.
Well, that makes such perfect sense when it comes to the pineal gland. So when we have this leaky gut syndrome, we have these toxins in our body, it actually is toxifying our pineal gland too. And our pineal gland is our direct connection to our third eye, our intuition. So that's what comes back in full circle to your original question. What does our intuition have to do with this? Well, when our intuition, our pineal gland is calcified, then we don't have that awakening of our third eye to use as our guidance system, our compass, so to speak, right? So the more I was able to detoxify my body in a safe way and get the phytocannabinoid diols into my body, helped me decalcify my pineal gland. And that helped me even deepen my intuition of what felt right and what felt like it was not in alignment with my mind, body, spirit.
So can I just clarify that you said it was possible to decalcify your pineal gland?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And isn't that interesting? Yeah, because I've talked to so many people that have been told by Western medicine that once it's diseased, it can't be reversed. And then you have to take all these drugs to counteract the symptoms. And that's where I really want people to understand that there's a whole nother world out there. And this is exactly why I want you on my show, so that people can listen and hear and understand that our bodies have the ability to heal themselves when given the right opportunity, the right environment, and the right nutrients, right?
Absolutely. There's quite a few things that you can take internally to help with your pineal gland to decalcify it. One thing is to cut out fluoride in the water and also your toothpaste and mouthwash.
Yeah.
Also, the aluminum, if you're using any kind of deodorants, they also calcify the pineal gland. To decalcify the pineal gland, you can take what's called fermented skate liver oil. You can also use Haritaki. Haritaki is an ancient Indian practice, and it comes in a capsule form or powder form. And I use the powder form. I take about 1/4 of a teaspoon every morning and every night. And you can even take a scoop of it and get it into your gum lines and teeth. And it helps to also help with any kind of cavities or tooth decay.
Wow.
And so when you think of how strong that is on your teeth, it's getting absorbed into your teeth, your gums, your bloodstream. It's helping to decalcify the pineal gland by getting in there. And the pineal gland does not have a blood-brain barrier. So it is not protected in terms of what hits it. And so when you get this into your bloodstream, it goes right into that pineal gland and helps to decalcify it. And this is really crucial in terms of also what you can do in terms of mantra in terms of that breathing in and that prana and then humming those mantric words. They help to stimulate the pineal gland with a vibration. And so as we continue to do that, we expand our auric field, we decalcify the pineal gland, we become more in alignment with body, mind, and spirit.
I just did another podcast with Karen Awad on sound healing. So I understand so much more now what vibration and sound does. And a couple of weeks ago, I was in a workshop where I was learning about the ventral vagus and how to stimulate it. So when you make the raspberry sound, or when you pop your lips, or when you chew on something crunchy, that sound is stimulating to your vagus nerve. So it's really interesting that these ancient practices that everybody thinks is voodoo is actually scientifically proven to awake our body so that it can be whole and connected.
Absolutely. I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher, so I incorporated all of that and Reiki into my healing. And so mentoring other people with their autoimmunes is something I'm so passionate about because one, Haritaki is around $8.
Okay, I was just going to ask, where can you get this stuff? Because I need it today. I don't know if my pineal gland is calcified. It probably has a bit, but I for sure need to use it on my gums.
Right. It's also whitening to the teeth too. So,
oh, good.
Yeah, so I find mine through Banyan Botanicals, which you can just Google and find. Fermented skate liver oil is super inexpensive also, and you can get that through Blue Ice if you Google that. You know, the hemp oil that I use, I absolutely love, and we can post that or you know, do something, whatever.
Yeah, we can
link for that.
We'll totally add a link. So for the listeners, look at the blog, and everything that we're talking about will be like highlighted. You can click on it, and it'll take you right to where you need to go to get the stuff.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal that the plant-based allies and ancient wisdom, it's already there for us if we can just be open to not taking the doctor's prognosis or diagnosis as the end all. There are options if you're open to it. And I understand that pharmaceuticals can be very helpful for people. So I'm not poo-pooing that by any means, but I am saying like, let's marry the three principles of the Western medicine, Eastern philosophy, and also the quantum physics of mindset and energy.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's what chiropractic is all about. Chiropractic is science, art, and philosophy. And that's kind of just exactly what you described with these three different legs. So talk to me about when a person gets a diagnosis. We have come from, I think we're coming out of it, but in general, the society that I grew up in and the people that raised me were very much like what the doctor says goes. You don't question them. They're the ones that went to school and has this education. How do you have a confidence knowing that you can trust that intuition and that you can seek out people who have done the things that you want to do and leave that? It's almost like they're not speaking like for you. You have diabetes. That's how it's going to be the rest of your life. That is not necessarily true, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the thing is that it's good to have a diagnosis. So I will say definitely always check in with your doctor and just get your science and all of that stuff.
Right.
In terms of leaving it up to that, one thing I think that people really don't understand is that doctors spend on average 25 hours in nutrition. And that's it. In their 4 years of schooling and continuing education, 25 hours is really the required. That's it.
Yeah, you're talking about medical doctors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about medical doctors.
Right.
And then they learn about their prescriptions. Now, if you can imagine how many prescription medications are out there, where are they getting this information? How do they know which one to prescribe? They're getting their information from a pharmaceutical rep. The pharmaceutical rep is sent by the pharmaceutical company. So who has the best interest in mind for you?
Of course.
Is it the doctor? He may, but he's getting his education from the pharmaceutical rep.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical rep, since they work directly from the pharmaceutical company, their best interest is to sell their product.
Exactly.
Now, if you focus on that, there's just a world opening up, this Pandora's box on who wants to get people well and who wants to get people stay sick. To be a perpetual customer of pharmaceutical.
Correct.
And to be outspoken about this is leading to people fighting that and people just getting in trouble for this and offering natural solutions.
I know.
When you look at aspirin, let's look at aspirin for a second. Aspirin is wintergreen that anyone can grow in their backyard. But when you look at pharmaceutical, they'll take that wintergreen, they'll synthesize it, which means they're going to add synthetics so that they can patent that and then call it aspirin in whatever form that is. But really, the fundamental source of that aspirin is wintergreen. And that is a wintergreen essential oil that you could put on your temples, the back of your neck. You could put it on the top of your head to help with headache.
Right.
It's so simple. And we have to go back to those days before those big companies took over.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as you say, there's not this idea that we're sitting here bashing medical science, because God knows there's been incredible things that have happened through the advancement of that. People's lives being transformed because of heart transplants and limbs being reattached because of a tragic, freak accident. So that is not the issue. It's that everyday folk that end up with a headache or, aren't having as much energy or their hair starts to fall out. Like, that isn't a medical emergency in as much as it needs to be investigated from a holistic place. Like, what's the root cause? And then there's simple things that we were given from the foundations of the earth, like wintergreen and all the other things that you're talking about that actually serve a purpose and were created to help these things, but don't have to be synthesized in a lab and then patented.
Absolutely. I love doctors and I love the way that they have taken medical science to higher levels. I think that's just amazing. Now, in terms of when I knew something was off in my body, the first person I went to was my general practitioner. And with the most condescending tone a person could give you, when I said, something's off in my body, I don't feel right. Like, I'm very fatigued and I'm not thinking clearly. And I've put on an additional 5 pounds in what seemed like a week. And that was not normal for me. And he said to me in the most patronizing tone you could absolutely use, he said, "Oh, Maria, you're just getting older. You need to exercise more." I was blown away because it turned out that my anemia was so bad at that point, it was down to 3.
No way. That's hospitalization, girl.
That is beyond hospitalization. That is blood transfusion. And he let me walk right out of his office.
No way.
Uh-huh.
So this is the deal. It's about ego, right? Like, I've encountered the same kind of thing whenever I've had to take my daughters. My one daughter was suffering with, we now know as endometriosis, but at 13 and 14, we didn't even think of that. And we were at the hospital and I took her in and I said, I did these tests and I figured out this. And I didn't even get to the point where I got to explain that she had already had her appendix out. And if I had known better back then, I wouldn't have even had that happen. And he said, "Oh, Lauren's mom's a chiropractor, so she's using really big words right now." And I literally was so appalled and just offended. It was like I was silent from the shock of him being so condescending. And it doesn't have to be that way. We can all learn to get along. We don't have to insult each other. And I'm not trying to step on you. I brought my daughter to you because I feel like you have a service that you could help figure this situation out. I'm not trying to tell you I know everything. I'm just letting you know these are the things that I've already figured out that aren't the issue, so that you don't have to waste your time. You know what I mean? So I get it, girl.
I don't know if it's ego. I can't pinpoint what it is because I honestly feel like they don't know. And instead of saying that they don't know, they're going to tell you that you don't know. And so I don't know if that's ego. I'm speechless sometimes when I hear these stories because, I mean, I probably get those kind of stories on at least hundreds a week of my doctor won't listen.
Exactly. And then the position that you're in, having written this book and having found a solution, obviously there's no cookie cutter answer because we are all individuals and we all have experienced life in a different way. I know for a fact that trauma, mental, physical, emotional trauma, plays a huge role in your gut health and your vagus nerve and the tone that is expressed through that. So there is a spiritual component to healing that as well as a nutritional and a physical. So There's so many different things that can factor in, but tell me more about your book and the little tips that you have and why people need to check it out, because I really want to highlight that because it's like outstanding information.
Well, my book is also focusing on the empowerment that I found. And when you talk about the emotional aspect, I can pinpoint back to the exact date of when I took something on emotionally and it got lodged energetically in my throat. It was my communication, right? So somebody said something to me and I took that on as my truth, even though it was not my truth. But because I had never had an experience like that before, and I grew up with a really beautiful, loving family. And when somebody said something to me in their truth, which was actually their truth, not mine, but because I didn't have experience with that, I could not filter that. It could not resonate with me. It stuck. It stuck in my emotional being, and it just manifested into this illness, into my throat chakra, and which is my communication. I could not communicate to others, and I could not communicate to myself anymore because of that person's perception of truth. So when I was able to go back and say, okay, when did I lose my voice, so to speak? When did I lose my way of being able to communicate my truth? And when I found that moment in time, I was just floored on how easily it was for me to take that on. Then I was amazed at how easily it was for me to let it go. Because what had developed is with the course of me using these essential oils and getting them into my body, a tumor the size of a golf ball formed into my throat. And the doctor had said, of course, we're responsible, right? We go get the biopsy, we go look at the ultrasound, and he said it's attached to your esophagus and vocal cords. And that's when I knew. It was like this great epiphany of what is my voice trying to let go of? And the more I used the essential oils, the more I used the hemp oil, it went away.
Right.
And the more I was able to speak my truth. And I almost had to go to the other side in terms of speaking my truth so much that I didn't have a filter, right? Because I had to get it back. I had to find that harmony, that balance. And so I went from not saying anything at all to just spewing everything that I felt was like needed to be said. And then basically taking that back into my balanced alignment and finding my harmony again. And so I advise my clients, I say, yeah, go into your car and scream if you need to. Because if that's something that helps you get your voice back, we'll find the balance again.
Right.
But if you are holding something in, whatever emotional trauma or energy that is, if you are holding that in your body, it will find a way to fester and make dis-ease.
Girl, you just said it, dis-ease. And I just couldn't wait to jump in because you're talking my language. Chiropractic. Chiropractic is based on the way that bones subluxate or go out of alignment is because of three things: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And thoughts is often overlooked, but it's something that our developer, BJ Palmer, spent years of his life researching. He had an entire sanitarium in Davenport, Iowa called Clearview Sanitarium, where he took care of the sickest, most mentally ill people. It was a thought trauma thing. And so, oh my gosh, you're speaking my language. It's so cool how intertwined this with chiropractic is. And I just love it because I think I told you yesterday on text, I said, I already have 4 people I need to have come see you or talk to you because it's not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is structural and neurological integrity. I love the Blair chiropractic work. And I love that I have people that I can refer to help get their Hashimoto's in order, right?
Yes, absolutely. Any autoimmune is going to fester. So like when you look at blood sugar is not being able to enjoy the sweetness in life. So we need to look in terms of where does your energy shift to where you don't feel that life is sweet for you anymore, right? So we look at those energetic things that manifest and fester in different parts of our body. And that's where mind, body, spirit comes. And this is all in my book. This is all in the journey of how I discovered all of this and it came together. And then the tools that I used, which may or may not work for everybody because every body is different. But I guarantee you I guarantee you this, the mind shift, if you just do that, if you just start with your mind and direct your thoughts and direct new neural pathways to new belief systems and focus on the outcome that you want versus, oh my goodness, I'm sick. Oh my goodness, I don't feel well. Oh my goodness, this is awful. If you can pick your days and just retrain, like get those flashcards out. I made little flashcards and I would draw a heart on one side, and then on the other side, it'd be like, my life is amazing in every single way. And every single day I would flash these cards. I would make these affirmations and just say them. And I would hold the tumor in my throat every day in the shower. And I would thank it for showing up. And I would say, I don't know why you're here, but I'm glad you're here. And I thank you so much for teaching me the most amazing lessons that I don't know what they are yet, but I know they're here. And I just told it.
Yeah, that is really powerful. I had a patient encounter the other day where we had this exact conversation, and she said, instead of being angry at my sciatica or my SI joint and the nerve that runs down my leg, I'm grateful that it's giving me information or allowing me to feel something so that I can come have a conversation with you and you can help me with that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to carry that with me. And it's not that I haven't heard that before, but it was the way that she said it. It was so empowering for her to know that her body's telling her something, which led her to come and seek help from me. And I had that answer that day that could help that particular issue. And it's not like you need to go see every different practitioner for everything that ails you. But I think, like you said, having gratitude for what shows up, because it's giving you information and it's allowing you to investigate your circumstances. Because we live in such a chaotic world that we have how much information being poured at us all the time. And we cannot even begin to comprehend like that's being thrown at us. We can only process a certain amount of information. So to be able to become more embodied and to become more present and to become more aware of what's in our bodies and what's happening around us, it allows us to then begin the journey of looking from within and figuring out what is it that my body's trying to tell me right now.
Yes, that's why I call myself a mentor and a guide, because we use everything. We use mind, body, spirit. We chant mantra. We do Kundalini yoga. We use essential oils. We use hemp oil. We detox the body, the gut, and we eat clean, good, whole foods. And we decalcify the pineal gland. But, everything happens in steps. And if you do something too quickly, then you may find yourself taking 10 to 12 steps back. So everything has to come in a gradual form. And the other thing is that I create empowerment and leaders. I do not want somebody to come to me years and years and years from now still working on the same issue. If that's the case, I'm not the mentor and guide for you. Something is missing. You need to go see somebody.
Amen.
Yes, you need to see somebody who's in alignment with your mindset and that's going to work with you. It's like the psychologist. Okay, 5 years, you're still seeing the same psychologist. It's like, wait.
Talking about the same problems. You're like, you've given me zero tools. I don't need a vent for an hour every week. I need to get some tools.
Yes, let's go full forward and knock this out and then do maintenance and then you fly. You take it from there.
I love it. That's exactly my philosophy with my practice. There are some chiropractors that see value in getting adjusted 3 times a week for forever. And that's their philosophy and that works for them. The way that I practice is that I want to get your head on straight. I want to make sure your brain and your body are connected structurally through the top of the neck and, full communication above, down, inside out. And I literally tell every single new patient that I encounter, the better you do, the less I need to see you. I don't want you dependent upon me, my adjustment, the rest of your life. I want that adjustment to hold and watch you thrive. And the less you come in, the better you're doing. And of course, I want to do a maintenance check on you to make sure you're holding and to make sure your nervous system is functioning. But I don't need to do that 3 times a week.
Honestly, I can say that in people who are in complete crisis mode, I will see them, 2 to 3 times a week for probably a good solid month.
But that's the beginning. Yeah, that's the beginning. And that's where you have to pick them up from where they are. Like you said, it's crisis, it's critical, it's new. And then you get them into this sort of maintenance and then you become wellness and then you check in with them. And it's basically to say, you're doing great. Your body's on point. I'll talk to you in 4 months.
I'm telling you, I have a vision that we can live in a world that is free of dis-ease.
I love it.
And I believe that key to wellness begins in the gut. And if we start there, then we can work on the energy and everything else from there.
Yeah, I love that it came from a personal suffering. And most of the time, things that are disruptive technology or disruptive mindset, it always comes from suffering of some kind, because it took some catastrophic event or some terrible thing that allowed you to have a different perspective and a shift, an energetic shift. And then all of a sudden, you were able to kind of figure out the thing that ailed you. And, they always say it's always darkest before the dawn. The storm's always the worst right before it's over. It's like with my chiropractic practice, retracing gets worse before it gets better. You heal, you get in alignment, and then you go back through and you go through all the junk that got you to where you were when you first met me. You have to go back through and heal. And if you do it too quickly, you're not stable. So it's very systematic. It's very in steps, and it's very structured to designed to help you get from point A to point B in a healthy, loving way.
Yes, absolutely. I know that we can do this. I know that we can all work together. Doctors, medical doctors, functional medical doctors, chiropractors, mentors, guides, acupuncture. We can all work together because not one can work alone. They all have to be intertwined so that we can have the science, the data, the plant life, the knowledge everyone brings to the table. I owned my own company for almost 20 years, and I always made it a point to hire really good people who knew, if not more, than had different perspectives of what I did, because that made us succeed as a team.
Amen. Exactly. And I totally agree with you again. We were all designed to be connected. We were designed to communicate and help and lift each other up. So being able to take the passion that you have and blend it with the passion that I have, and then we go find somebody who loves to do something else, that's like a dream team, right? And so I love through this vehicle, this podcast, I get to meet phenomenal practitioners and people who have developed certain techniques, or I interviewed my financial planner. His passion is making sure people have their financial plan in order. And he looks at it in a very holistic way, kind of like I look at the body. And it's just really neat to see where all these passions lie and to come together and be able to help humanity as a whole. It's very rewarding. So where can people find you? Because I know that once they hear this episode, they're going to want to go log on and figure out, where the heck is this girl? How can I meet her?
Well, my website is mariaaparis.com, and that's 2 A's in the middle. So Maria is the first name, and then Aparis, like the city of France with an A in front of it, .com. And you can find the book on Amazon, again, called The Essential Gut Awakening, Mastering Hashimoto's and Other Autoimmune Diseases.
Well, I am so thrilled to have had you as my guest today. It was a very enlightening conversation. I feel empowered. I feel pumped up. I feel ready to go heal the world. And I think I have 2 more people that I want to have send your way this very moment. So,
oh, that's so great. I'm excited. Yes, let's get the word out there. We do this. We
absolutely can.
It takes a village, right? We can't do it alone, but we can do it together.
So thank you so much for being a part. And I can't wait to have you back on my podcast so we can talk about success stories. Okay?
That sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.